Welcome to Own Your Future, Career Strategy Beyond the Job Search, an online Zoom workshop that brought together an engaged audience of students, young professionals, and entrepreneurs from across our community. Hosted by the Civic Engagement Committee of the Virginia Asian Advisory Board in partnership with the Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club, this workshop was created to go beyond the traditional job search and focus on building long-term career and professional success. The session featured industry leaders and experienced professionals who generously shared their practical knowledge, real-world insights, and proven strategies through impactful and engaging presentations. Their guidance helped participants better understand today's job market and the skills needed to stand out. Throughout the workshop, attendees explored key topics, including resume rewriting, effective job application strategies, building visibility and credibility on LinkedIn, and entrepreneurship as a powerful career pathway. Before you watch the full Zoom workshop session, please follow us on LinkedIn, like our Facebook page, and visit www.vaab.virginia.gov to learn more about our mission, goals, and upcoming events. So let's get started.
I am a community volunteer. I've been involved with different nonprofit organizations, previously serving on Virginia Asian Advisory Board, and I currently serve on the board of Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club. It's a pleasure to be here today supporting this important program. We would like to thank the speakers, volunteers, and KPMG for offering their space for us to have an in-person event. Due to the weather, we decided to do this event online, and we truly appreciate everyone's flexibility. I would like to introduce Dr. Shalika Pillai, whom I had the honor working with at the Asian Advisory Board. Dr. Pillai is the chair of the Virginia Asian Advisory Board, a healthcare administrator, and a business owner of Stretch Zone Centerville and Health Source Chiropractic of Manassas. She is deeply committed to community engagement and health and wellness initiatives. Let's welcome Dr. Pillai to share more about VAAB's work in our community.
Thank you, Laura. Before we begin, let me take a quick moment to express my gratitude to a few key individuals. I see Emma, our state administrator, who is on the call, who partners closely with me behind the scenes and ensures everything runs smoothly. I'm also deeply grateful to Mansoor, the chair of our Civic Engagement Committee of VAAB, and also to Laura, who from Lions Club. They both partnered with us for bringing this proposal forward and for being such a strong, consistent pillar of support throughout this entire process. More than anything, let me say that I want to thank you all for joining us. You could be doing many other things this afternoon, yet you chose to be here and to be part of this conversation. I'm confident that our speakers will make it worth your time. I briefly chatted with them yesterday, and I'm telling you, both of them come with a wealth of knowledge. For those of you who may not be very familiar with Virginia Asian Advisory Board, it was established in 2001. We are a formal governmental entity of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and our goal is to serve as a liaison between the administration and our Virginia's diverse and rapidly growing Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. What we do, our purpose, we advise the governor once in a year on strengthening economic and cultural ties, mostly locally, but also if we see any global trends across areas such as business and trade, education, health, and civic engagement, and also access to government. I know many of you are business entrepreneurs and would like to see more access to government. That is something that we continue to express to our governmental bodies. Through these committees is when we identify any barriers and elevate the opportunities to ensure that all of our voices are heard and represented. Last but not the least, I want to say that we also host collaborative events like today's throughout the year and organize quarterly town halls across the Commonwealth. If you want to know when the town halls are there, I will put the website information in the chat. Please go ahead and subscribe to our list so you will get the information as we go along. Again, thank you for being part of this important work, and I look forward to hearing from many of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pillai. I also have the privilege to work with Alan Tan through Lions Club International. Alan Tan is the president of Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club, AAA Business Brokers, Board of Directors of Vis Arts, and BC LC Global. Ellen, would you please share a few words with our audience? Oh, Ellen is on mute, Menzu.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Welcome everyone. So to today's Own Your Future seminar, and my name is Alan. I'm the Lions Club local president with the name of Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club. And today, I think we will have a great seminar with two experts. We provide a lot of good information to help Own Your Future. So I hope everyone could learn a lot. And I want to give a little brief about Lions Club. Lions Club is the largest international nonprofit association in the world with 1.5 million members across 200 countries with over 100 years history. So we are help individuals to build leadership skill through helping each other in the community. So if this is something you want to learn or develop a leadership skill or helping others, we love to have you to be part of our team. And also I want to mention in 2027, we will have an international convention host in here, DC, with approximately 10,000 delegates across the world to be here. So we need more volunteers to help to host this event to help out the convention more transition smoothly. So without further ado, I want to pass back to the mic to the host, Laura. Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Today's session is designed to go beyond the job search to help you think more intentionally about career direction, positioning, and long-term success. As we go through the program, please feel free to submit your questions in the chat. We'll address at the end of the panel. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Claire Patrick, Managing Partner at Patrick and Associates, who will share insights on how to conduct a successful job search. Claire, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, and let me make sure that I can. So Mansoor, if you could allow me to share my screen, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, you can share it. It's allowed from here.
It says host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, give me 1 second.
And I apologize, everybody. I think Laura mentioned we were expecting that this was going to be in person. So when we had to quickly pivot to online and Zoom, there are naturally going to be a few technical difficulties. So I apologize and just ask you to bear with us with good humor.
Yeah, thank you, Claire, for being flexible as well.
Mansoor, you might want to give admin
host.
access to Claire. Yeah, there you
go. Okay, so great. So I think everybody can see the screen. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. So let me just further introduce myself a little bit. And one of the things I like to highlight is that I have had a very circuitous kind of tangential path to where I am today. Believe it or not, I started out wanting to be a professor of Chinese studies. I actually taught at Fudan University in Shanghai way back when, in the early 90s. And then I also taught at Taida. I taught at a college up in Hackettstown, New Jersey. And then I decided too many of my friends in academia are not getting tenure and in their 40s are selling cars. And so I better get out while the getting is good, so to speak. And so I left academia in the kind of the mid 90s. And at that time, the dot-com boom was just starting. And I helped to launch 2 different dot-com companies, one as a director of marketing, and then another that was supported by Capital One as their VP of Strategic Alliances, and we successfully sold both companies. In the course of working for those companies, we had to fill out our executive team, and I worked with the likes of Korn Ferry, Spencer Stewart, and Russell Reynolds. All of those companies are really some of the world's premier executive search firms. So I got to understand what the executive search business is all about. And when we sold the last company, I liked it. You know, I thought I would like it so much that I pivoted. And in 2001, I started my own executive search firm. So over the last 25 plus years, I have worked with a wide variety of companies, really based on what market is hiring. So I started out in 2001, in August 2001, working for big banks and credit card issuers. September 11th hit, I quickly had to pivot. So then I went into engineering firms and manufacturing. When higher education was strong under Obama's administration, I did a lot of university presidents and provosts and deans. So I've really hired across the full spectrum of organizations and across the full spectrum of functional positions. So I've recruited everything from presidents, VPs of sales to very specific chemists that have a specific expertise, all the way down to IT professionals, et cetera. So that's me.
For this time. And I know there's several questions here, and I'm going to see if we can start from, you have mentioned that the job seekers, most job seekers, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Most job seekers fall into two categories. So what's the breakout ratio of those two categories?
I would say, I think today, most people don't know what they want so a lot of students don't know what they want. They have a vague idea of what they want, but they don't really know. And I can't tell you how many students I interview and they come to me very sure about what they want to do. And within 15 minutes, we've decided that's not at all what they want to do. Right. So let me give you some examples to make that point clear. A young man came to me. He was graduating from the University of Virginia. His goal was he wanted to make a lot of money. That's why he majored in finance. And when I said, how much money do you want to be making? He said, I want to be making six figures. And I said, well, you don't have an MBA, you don't have a CPA. I think it's unlikely that you're going to be making six figures right away. And he said, well, I have to. So in the course of that conversation, I realized he had run a convenience store and taken sales of that convenience store from about 500,000 to $1 million by offering CBD products and other products. And I said, I think if you really want to make that money, we should look at a job in sales for you. And we ended up reaching out to Philip Morris and we got him a job, right? Another person graduated with a degree in human resources. And when I asked, why do you want to be in human resources, she just did not answer well. In the course of the conversation, she said, if I could work for any company, it would be this manufacturer of saddles, of horse saddles. We totally redid her resume. She contacted that company and got a job. So a lot of people who come to me knowing exactly what they want to do really don't. A lot of people also coming to me today are people who are being forced to pivot. They would really like to continue on in the current job. So for example, I'm working with somebody who was the vice president of search engine optimization. A few years ago, that was a top field. You couldn't get enough people to be in that role. Today, because of AI, that's become obsolete. So now she's looking to pivot. So today, I would say 40% of the people come to me knowing exactly what they want to do. I would say 60% of the people come to me somewhat unsure. Sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, thank you. So the next question is, should we adjust resume for every position?
So, and somebody just asked, can you allow ChatGPT to create a resume? Let me be very clear. ChatGPT is great at giving you the initial skeleton of a resume, but you had better put the meat and muscles on it or it's unimpressive. I can immediately tell when a resume has just been done generically via ChatGPT. ChatGPT is only as good as the prompts that you feed it. If you just upload a job description and say, briefly, this is what I've done, create a resume, I'm going to tell you that's a resume that probably is going to go into my trash. I want to know specific accomplishments, and your resume needs to reflect that individual job description. So it's nothing for you to say, here's the job description, here's my current resume, tweak it, and then you need to tweak it further.
The next question is, when describing why you were recruited, would it be appropriate to describe how an organization's goals have changed, say after large corporate restructuring?
Absolutely, because if you've been with a company for, let's say, an extended period of time, the goals and objectives of that company surely have changed during that time frame. So what you want to say is why I was recruited or promoted. I was originally recruited or promoted to do this. As this company evolved or pivoted their focus, I then got into doing X, Y, and Z.
The next question is, what if you have a famous or controversial individual with a same name or similar name as you that can be found online? Do some people actually have reduced career prospects because of this? Or should they, like change, use distinct middle names?
So that's a great question and a very fair one. I absolutely want to make sure when I'm Googling somebody that I have the right person. And so if I don't, like if, let's say, I'll give you a really good example. There was somebody that I wanted to hire, and I had a great pitch call with him. So before I interviewed him, I Googled him, but I'd already spoken with him for about 30 minutes. He was recommended to me. I thought he was fantastic. I did a quick Google search, and he had been in an altercation. He had been arrested for getting into a fight. So I got him on the phone and I said, before we go any further, I Googled you and this is what I found. Can you explain the situation to me? And he did. And it made sense to me. I'm not going to share what, he caught his wife in bed with somebody else and he got into a fight with this person. I can understand that. That's relatable. It was a misdemeanor. I'm willing to overlook it based on everything that you bring to the table. So let's move on. But if I have a question as to whether or not I've got the right individual and I'm interested in that individual for other reasons, I'm going to ask them out blank, point blank. I'm going to ask them.
Great, thank you. We have lots of questions, but this is going to be the last one because time is about up. So what advice would you have for antisocial people?
That is a great question. So believe it or not, you wouldn't know it perhaps based on this interview or this presentation, but I'm an introvert. When I've taken personality tests, I'm not an extrovert. I'm not an ambivert. I am firmly an introvert. I can compensate for that if I'm excited about something. So I think if you are antisocial, you are going to have to force yourself out of your comfort zone. And if you need help to do that, then do it. If you've got a friend or a parent or a spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend who can help you kind of create these networking scripts, practice in a mirror. If you're going to be leaving, the great thing about a lot of this networking is that you're doing it online. So you're not actually doing it in a phone call, right? You're not actually going up to somebody. So reach out via LinkedIn, reach out via email, leave a really well-crafted voicemail. And I'm going to give you a little tip. If you *67, I think it's *67 or *69, but I think it's 67, your call is not traceable. What I used to do when I was in sales and I was afraid I might catch somebody in a bad mood or I wouldn't be able, I would freeze. I would *67. And that way I could hang up if they answered and I wasn't prepared for it. That's a little cheating.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I'm sure many of us have more questions for you, and you know how to look for Claire, right? LinkedIn. Thank you, Claire. And now I would like to introduce Minsu Qureshi, and chair of the Civic Committee for Virginia Asian Advisory Board and senior partner at the nation's second largest staffing company. He's also played a key role in helping out Together's event. So thank you, Minsu, and feel free to introduce our next speaker.
Laura, thank you so much. Claire, what a great presentation and a session. Friends, this insight comes directly from an executive recruitment specialist. So we hope you gain valuable real world knowledge from today's session. A portion of this recording will be available on Virginia Asian American Advisory Board LinkedIn and our social media platform. So be sure to follow and join our LinkedIn page to stay connected and receive update on future events like this. Hello, everyone. My name is Mansoor Qureshi, and I serve the chair of Civic Engagement Committee for the Virginia Asian American Advisory Board. In this role, I have the privilege of working closely with professionals, entrepreneurs, community leaders to better understand their challenges, elevate their voices, and help advance meaningful civic engagement and workforce focused policy recommendation to the Governor of Virginia. Our committee also leads civic engagement initiatives, organize networking events with public officials, senior professionals, and policymakers, and host educational programs like today's session. So even like this, these are especially important for professionals and job seekers, and we truly want to hear from you. So please do not hesitate to share what additional support, resources, or programming would be the most valuable for you. I also want to sincerely thank Laura Belden and the Greater Washington API, AAPI Lions Club, our valued partners, for collaborating with us on this impactful event. A heartfelt thank you to all of the speakers for generously sharing their time, expertise, and insight in support of this important civic engagement effort. Professionally, I'm a senior partner at the nation's second largest company, as Laura said, with over 18 years of expertise leading federal and commercial recruitment efforts across both cleared and non-cleared environments, supporting Fortune 100 companies. I specialize in helping professionals secure strong career opportunities through DMV area, and I regularly share guidance on career planning, workforce trends, and effective job search strategies. I'm always happy to connect. So feel free to reach out to me or our VAAB team on LinkedIn or via email, or check our website www.vaab.virginia.gov if you have any question. Our board is ready to help you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker, Stephen D. Guzman, a career ownership coach, veteran, and APA ambassador, who will share valuable insights on current workforce trends. Steve, the Zoom stage is yours now.
All right. Ms. Mansour, thank you so much for the introduction. Let me do a quick voice check. How's my sound? Okay, thumbs up. And video looks good. I have a picture of a signpost behind me. Okay, good. All right. Look, folks, I know it's 2:20. So if we've been on and you hadn't had a bio break, I won't take any offense if some of you disappear and have to take care of business. I'll just go on with the presentation. Monsieur, are you going to present, or am I?
Can you see this?
Yes. Perfect. That's the first slide. Yep. Thank you, Monsieur. Again, first slide, own your future, as advertised with the Virginia Asian Advisory Board. And again, thanks for sponsoring, and the Lions Club of Washington, D.C. We want to give some opportunities for folks like myself to share career strategies and what to consider when moving forward with owning your future. Can we go to the next slide, please? A little bit about me. I have 25 years total federal government experience. I'm retired from active duty, United States Air Force. At the peak of my Air Force career, I retired out of the Pentagon. I was managing the 731,000 total employees of the Department of the Air Force, a portfolio worth about $156.1 billion of taxpayer dollars. After I retired, I became a defense contractor for the U.S. Navy, and I worked on the Virginia attack submarine program, deep submerged systems. And then I went back into federal civil service, or the public sector, this time as a senior civilian in the United States Space Force. It's one of the organizations I stood up while wearing the uniform, so I kind of, was a shoo-in for the job. And I was chief of workforce design. What that tells you is I have a experience of a strategy standpoint of looking at workforces. Normally when I do these sort of briefings or presentations, I'm in front of people, so I love to take questions as they come, but because of our weather pattern and the situation we're in today, so please, if you have questions, just post them in chat. I'll do my best to answer them. learning from how the flow went prior, I'm going to try to speed along the presentation so I can allow for more questions and answer at the end. I think interaction from the 66 now participants now would probably be the most value added. A little bit more about me. After my time in federal service, I decided to become a business owner, right? And all throughout that, I've been part of AAPI. I've been a part of AAPI for the last 3 years. AAPI stands for Asian Pacific American Public Affairs. We're a civic engagement organization that focuses on grassroots involvement, leadership development of the AA and HPI communities across the nation. We're heavily concentrated in California, but we do have presence across about 30-ish states right now. All right. So a little bit about my personal side. For those of you, you probably need to hear this because in my strategy talk, I want you to consider your own lifestyle balance. So as a person, you have to consider everything that's important to you. So here's some pictures of my family. Bottom middle is my little sister in California. We're standing with the mayor of Sacramento. Top right image is me doing a Sacramento, California Advocacy Day for bills affecting Asian Americans in California. We've also I'm also part of the help APACs, which is another Asian American organization here in the DC area. Last year, I helped support their legislative summit as one of the military veteran speakers. So public speaking has been part of my history and background since 1999. I find this funny because when I told Laura this, she laughed and I laughed too. So in 1999, I was in high school and I was sponsored by the Lions Club to be a public speaking contestant. And because of that involvement, it took me through and succeeded through my career and has led me to where I am now. I can't tell everybody, I can't say this enough, but being part of an organization, building your networking skills and your public speaking skills does wonders for your career. Next slide, please. All right, so because I'm using a lot of my slides that I often present these slides to numerous clients, I want to make sure everybody understands there's a legal statement here. Everything about the share is for educational purposes only. I am not here to sell my product or my services. I am merely here to share my expertise from both my federal experience, my business ownership experience, and my volunteering experience. With all of that, I want to boil it down and try to give you some options and strategies to move forward with your next career choice, should you choose to pivot. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this one is one of those slides that I love to put in online events. This is the "Are you awake?" slide. So if you took the opportunity to step out and use the bathroom, and now you're back and you're seeing me, I'm going to give a few seconds here to allow folks in the audience to answer this question. Where are you joining from us today? Most of you should be coming from the East Coast. If you put in E, other, please let us know where that is. Northern Virginia, East Coast, great. I got another screen monster that popped up. It looks like, there you go. All right. So in my LinkedIn network, I sent this out to 250 other folks just in case they had Virginia and Northern Virginia and DC and Maryland folks to come by and check this out. So yeah, I saw Dallas, Texas. Great. Thanks for joining. And most of us are from the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Okay, and that makes sense. This information that I present to you is meant for everybody. So I do this all the time with my clients. And here's the agenda for today. I'm going to cover four things. I'm going to first start with the traditional career options. What is that? I'll show you a funny little picture in a second.
Yeah.
A majority of what I will spend our time talking about is how to build a good strategy. Now, I use a framework in my business called ILWE, and it stands for income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. As Claire mentioned in her previous presentation, a lot of her clients come to her and don't know where to go. They had no idea. In this section, that's section 2 of our agenda, I'm going to spend a lot of time because if I can help you or anyone you know figure out how to first think about where do I want to go with my career, then we can help you understand which option is more correct for you. In the third part of my presentation,
બધું રિજેક્ટ કરી દીધું પહેલા ટાકો પછી દાળ ભાત
which
I'm
he
sorry, I hear some feedback. Is somebody on hot mic?
Can you unmute? Can you mute everyone, please?
We need to unmute Steve. Yep.
There you go. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Apologies, everybody. You know how it is with Zoom meetings. We just got to roll with it. No worries. We'll roll with it. So again, on the third part of our agenda, I'm going to actually talk about, in contrast, the additional career options and how to look at different ones compared to that traditional look that many of us may have been given from that time when we started our careers. And at the very end, a lot of my expertise today, very currently, and leveraging my experience from before, I can kind of compare and contrast what's going on with business ownership and what models there are for you to learn about. I don't have all the time in the world that I wish to share with you all that I know, so I can only touch the surface. I will provide my information and contact details at the end. But as Claire mentioned, if you're on LinkedIn, you could likely find me. My name is spelled the same way it is. You can see it, or you can Google me and find out what I've done. Hopefully, I haven't been in any domestic fights that show up online, right? All right, next slide. So let's talk about this. In my time as a military member, I spent a couple years as a professional instructor, and I had to teach lessons, whether 6 hours, 12 hours, or 15 hours long over a period of days. And over time, I figured out how to do most of my lessons within 3 minutes or less. So here's how I do this entire presentation of about 30, 45 minutes in 3 minutes or less. It's based on these two pictures. If you all could understand the bottom left picture, that comes from a board game. Go ahead and type it out in chat, if you will. There's a certain board game that comes from. And it's important to know. Oh, sorry, go back up one. Right, Life. There's a board game called Life. And in the beginning of the board game, it came with two options for you. Go to college or start your career right away without school. If everybody remembers that, that's kind of how our culture has always been for many people, right? You were given two options. Or in certain communities, perhaps the Asian American communities, you might have been told only 3 types of jobs you can do. So again, in the comments, please, if you were told 3 types of jobs that you can be, this, or this, please share those thoughts. I'm going to give you guys just a minute to there you go, doctor, right? I've heard that. Anybody else? MLB player. Nice. South Asians, doctor, engineer, correct. Accountant. Yep. There you go. There you go. Lawyer, doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant. Thank you. Thank you. Good. All right. And that is why we are here, to learn a little bit about the fact that what the culture has our cultures, whether through the board game and reinforced by how you learned it and how you were taught in schools. Most schooling programs really guided you to one of these two options, right? Start a career or go to college. And then if you go to college, these are the most high paying jobs. You should do this. And what I need you to do by the end of this presentation is end up like the picture on the right. So rather than having just 2 options or 3 options, have more options. If that makes sense to you and you get that by the time I'm done speaking and presenting my presentation, I would have succeeded, and I would hope that you would view this as a good use of your time. All right. So let's go to the next slide. When I talk about how do you decide what career choice to make? What do I want to be when I grow up? Many of you were asked that in the high school years, but then if you ever paid attention to it, you went through a career and then you went, man, this isn't what I wanted to be. This isn't who I was. Perhaps you can use a strategy we call ILWE. So start with these thoughts: income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. Now, here's the funny thing. Many of you may have been given a very little choice to choose your career or told you need to be this, mostly because of the word income. People have misattributed the word income with success. Now, for those of you who can relate to that, I absolutely would love to hear a question on that, or if you want to go ahead and type it out. If that's your experience with your life, please share your thoughts on chat. I may not be able to address it, but I will say I hear a lot of my clients today and the people I work with in the military getting out of the military figure out that the only thing I want to do is get the job that pays the most. But that lacks those other three aspects: lifestyle, wealth, and equity. If you can build a strategy that considers these four things, it will help you narrow down your options. All right, let's go. Let's talk about those four things. Income. Next slide. Okay, so income's easy. Hourly wage, salary, how much do I make on average, right? You need income. The problem with that I see people do is, and I did it myself, right? I chose paths that gave me the most income, but they burned me out. And that caused me to suffer that lifestyle. And that suffering of that lifestyle affected that family that I pointed up earlier. So these are the things that I learned now that I want you to consider. Great question on how about passive income. We'll talk about that in a couple things. So good question. So income. Income is a factor that most of us have. It's just a target. The question I want you to think of when you're making a strategy: what do you envision your income to be, total income, whether active or passive, to be in the next 3 to 5 years? If you can think of that, that helps you with building a good strategy. Claire mentioned a client of hers that said, I want a 6-figure income. A 6-figure income is not a specific number, right? A 6-figure income at minimum is $100,000. But some people actually say 6-figure income and mean 150,000, 180,000, 195. Those are all 6-figure incomes. So is 650,000. That's a 6-figure income. So understand, what do you want your income to be, total income in the next 3 to 5 years? Write that out. Try to tell yourself why and why that makes sense. Income is a vehicle. It's a tool, not the achievement. Income allows you to live a lifestyle. Okay, so let's talk about lifestyle. Next slide, please. All right, life over work. If you ever talk to anybody working 60-hour work weeks or more, you'll probably hear the amount of stress in their voice, right, after days or weeks. And when you ask someone, has it been worth it after 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years of that lifestyle? Was it worth it? Many people say the words burnout. Thank you. Somebody said that in chat. Burnout, stress, family disintegration. So is it worth a lifestyle like that to earn that income or pursue a career that doesn't make you happy? When I deal with clients, and I deal with clients on a daily basis, my clients often ask me, how can I think about lifestyle? Here's the easiest way that I put it out to them. I say the typical work week is 40 hours, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Okay, that's the typical work week. In those 40 hours, you're at work and not with your family or not doing the things that make you happy. I don't know if that's traveling, that's learning new languages, or doing something that you like as a hobby. So those 40 hours, right, is a basic lifestyle standard. However, some people choose an income level of $180,000 a year and figure out that it's a 70-hour per week or more job. And that time comes out of what? As I mentioned before, the hobbies, the things that make you happy, the de-stressing, spending time with family, visiting your friends. It takes that time out. So if you factor in your lifestyle in your strategy and balance it with income, you have a better understanding of where you should go. All right. I'm going to see if there's any questions I can knock out real quick. It's really 45. Yeah. Okay. Yes. There's a great comment here. It's really 45 to 55 hours. I live about an hour south of DC. So yes, I know that lifestyle. I had to work 8.5, 9 hours a day, commute 1 hour north and commute 1 hour back south at the end of every day. You're correct. The typical, however, clock in, clock out time that employers see is 40 hours. They don't really care about those other commuting times, right? They don't pay you to commute. So things to consider with lifestyle. Moving on to wealth. Wealth is the accumulation of all your income over time. This is something that I get a lot of clients who fail to see what they're doing with building up income. Excuse me, take a drink. So what happens is people start to do this income pursuit. They try to get that 6-figure income, the $80,000. And then what they end up doing is they start living a lifestyle that spends about 5 to 10% of their actual income. beyond their actual incomes. What they're doing constantly is putting themselves in a negative and figuring out that in order to keep up with my lifestyle, I need to make more income. So that's the wrong thing if you're thinking about it. In the long term, you're just going to keep falling further behind. So keep in mind, plan your wealth for the next 15 to 20 years. What should you have accumulated? What should you have there for you to spend to live your lifestyle the way you want it to be? Okay. Last thing is equity. Let's go next slide, please. Equity. Equity, we define it as the interest and assets you built up. But how about thinking of equity this way? Anything you've owned that if you were to pass away, you can pass down to the next generation. That's the easiest way that I have summarized the term equity. Okay. That could be a house, that could be land, that could be property, that could be a $20,000 net worth coin collection. Maybe it's a bunch of pennies because they're no longer being minted, right? Something along those lines. Equity is passed down. If you think of it that way, it's part of your wealth. So those four aspects are the four things that if you were to truly build a good career strategy for the next 4 to 5 years, you should try to think of those as on top of your mind. Your income, your lifestyle, how many hours are you submitting to work and taking away from all the things that make you happy, right? Wealth, what are you building up? And equity, what can you pass down? If you could build a good strategy based on those four, you will have a better direction or better sense of direction to choose the career, job, or option of lifestyle for you. So let's talk about those different ones. Next slide, please. Try to catch up. So this is what you see behind me, right? The signpost. There are 3 real career paths in general. The first path, the W-2 path. Many of you are very, very accustomed to this path because this is literally what a lot of our education system, the culture, again, my example of the game board of life, it speaks to more of the W-2 mindset. You work for somebody else. You are building their dreams up. You are building their empires up. Why do they have money to pay you and live a lifestyle on their own? I'm going to plant that question into your minds right now. Another career path you can choose is the investment career path. Use money to make money. So somebody mentioned in the chat along the lines of, what about passive income? So you can own assets and they can build and become, you know what I mean, leveraged. If you know what these terms mean, you can buy property, have renters, and make income and have a living. Obviously, it's not that easy, right? Sorry, business ownership. So the last career path I'm going to talk about, and these career paths are going to be super expanded, okay, is business ownership. Of course, I'm a huge fan of this, and if you heard the folks who introduced themselves, Laura and all the other folks, there's probably something in common with folks that I've seen in the nonprofit space is most of us have figured out business ownership is probably where we need to be. Some of us could have done it earlier had we known of these options. So I want to talk about that for some of you. All right, so next slide. I'm going to talk about just the W-2. When you're looking at the W-2, money seems to be the major driver. All right. In the left slide here, there's an image called the federal minimum wage. All I want you to do with this idea is just to understand that depending on where you're at in the country, your income changes due to numerous factors. There are all sorts of information out there. Sometimes for you to have that happy strategy, it may not be where you're at today, and perhaps changing location is probably the better situation for you. I can't guarantee it's better or worse. I'm just encouraging that people figure out why certain states have a lower minimum wage than others. Typically, it's based off cost of living. So if you're willing to take a lesser income, but increase your lifestyle and have your money go further, perhaps figuring out where your lifestyle will best fit you is the better option for you. All right, so that's an option. Salary gaps. So all jobs, and I speak this from experience in the government and looking at jobs in general, all jobs can be grouped into occupation groups. All right, so this slide, the image right there says salary gaps in America. You can find it off of BLS.gov, which stands for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Bureau of Labor Statistics.gov. I highly recommend, if I were teaching a test as an instructor, by the way, I'm stomping my feet, stomp, stomp. I highly recommend that you guys check out bls.gov and see where you can put in your job and your average salary and learn the average salary of your job based on your zip code and compare it to the national average. Knowing where your value of income is compared to where you're working at your job helps people understand what types of income targets they can put in that strategy. Again, I'm moving pretty quick. I'm gonna stand by here on look at chat. Anybody got any hot questions? Let me give you 3 or 4 more seconds. Okay, let's move on to thinking deeply in the W-2 world. So as I mentioned, all jobs get broken into or get grouped into what's called an industry or an occupational group. If you were working in retail, and this is an example of the retail market, Monsieur, I don't know if we could zoom in. I forgot to ask you that earlier. Is that possible? Yep, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Yeah, perfect. All this is if you start somewhere in any career field, career industry, or occupational group, and you do that job for a little bit of time, you typically break out into what's called a specialty of that job. Some of you may have experienced this already. Within that specialty, there's a branch that keeps breaking you out further, and you become specialized even further as you stay in the job longer, or perhaps as you climb the corporate ladder, right? You no longer become a generalist at whatever career field you join. You become a specialist over time. And that specialty becomes your identity if that is what has happened to you in the W-2 world. After 5 or 10 years, you identify yourself as a mechanic, as a lawyer, right? As the job you are, as a doctor. But you lose your personal identity, which is somebody that can do any job. In all actuality, you can be anything. Good question in chat. Can we run this in presentation mode? Monsieur, is that possible? If not, I'll roll with it. All right. We can. That was a good question. Next slide, please. Okay, so here I am pivoting. The last slide talked about the how in depth can you get in the W-2 world, right? You can start off in the general sense of retail. I sell stuff. Well, what kind of stuff do you sell? You can get into transporting stuff. You can get into marketing the stuff and advertising the stuff, or you can do big sales, right? Bulk sales, little sales. If you're talking investing, there are 2 major categories that I'm aware of, and I don't speak too much of this because in interest of time. So here are the couple slides that I'll share. Investing is something that you have to keep in mind will grow over time. And I find that this is one of the things that most of my clients will ask me, hey, I want to get into investment. And I go, okay, great. What is your plan? What are your targets? So we always start with ILWI. Some folks can learn that there is passive investment. So whatever income you do, you can push it off and invest passively. And as that income grows over the years, then you have this hopefully bigger pocket of money to then allow you to make a career change into either bigger investing or where I hope to go with you into business ownership. So next slide first. Let me talk about the types of investors. Sorry about this. This is something that I think people just don't know. Within just the investing or financial world, you can consider that there are truly more options just in the investment career field. This slide just talks about different types. Monsieur, I don't know how much we could zoom in. I don't want to spend too much time, but angel investing versus what do we say here? We have some small venture capital and big venture capital. I've heard a lot of clients go, but I don't have this money. And I go, believe it or not, you don't have to. Investing lifestyles and careers may be able to leverage the money of others. You just have to be great at financing or being really good at managing and brokering stocks or bonds or something like that. But there are lifestyles out there that are available for most of you if you were to consider it in the investing world. And that's all I'm asking you to do is consider the W-2 world and all the intricate options there. Consider the investing world and all the intricate options there. And then let's talk about the last world. If you please, the next slide. We're looking at, should be career timeline. There you go. All right. So today, the 21st century life cycle of careers, this is something we're seeing way more often than not, right? Childhood to young adulthood, there is this contrast of the previous generation's life cycles where their adulthood spanned pretty much a 30, 40-year career timeline. After they'd spend that much time working for somebody else, then they retire and that retirement check covers them. What we're finding is that's not enough, or we no longer have the sense of security in most careers. Claire mentioned earlier, what about AI? What about those ways that technology is changing the marketplace and taking our jobs? So what we're seeing now is that young adults start off at an earlier career, they have a career break, and they start a career 2. We call it the career 2.0 in my business, and then they get to retirement. Anybody see where the retirement line is for that 21st century life cycle? Anybody point it out in chat? Should be kind of obvious if you think about it. The retirement for most of this generation now is later. There you go. Somebody said 64 or 70. Yeah, it's later. It used to be this number called 55 or 57. You want to retire around this time. The government was going to do Social Security and take care of you. Your corporation was going to take care of the other half. That's not the case anymore, right? It's different. And that is the reality that most folks today have to face with that retirement and understanding retirement. It's going to come later due to market fluctuations and the job market evolution. So you got to take a risk. What's that? Per SSA? Yeah, Social Security Administration 67. That's correct. All right, so the next slide here. If you're going to make this jump and talk about being a business or an entrepreneur, this is someone quoting Warren Buffett, right? First, you have to understand that making any jump like this, because it's not something that's widespread known, not widespread talked about, it's really not educated in public education until you choose to pursue the education in college or something like that, or after high school, you gain the knowledge for entrepreneurship. It's risky to us because it's less known. So Warren Buffett says it. He says, hey, if you think it's really risky, try working for somebody else and then living off Social Security. Now, the reality is if you're lucky enough to find a company to work 40 years, that is a rarity more than a commonplace thing. So let me talk about what motivates people to get into business ownership. Next slide, please. I am a part of a huge network of businesses, whether franchise businesses, individual businesses, and financing partners. And one of my financing partners did this study. What makes business owners make the leap, right? What causes a lot of people to go from the W-2, I'm working for somebody else, to then go, I want to work for myself. Me, I'm the boss, right? It's a huge jump, huge jump. So some of the top findings is 28% ready to be their own boss. And a lot of it, the second part, and I get a lot of clients for this, is dissatisfaction with corporate America, right? A lot of that also is being threatened with AI. And then, of course, there are folks who just over time realized what I'm doing today wasn't what I intended to do 10 years ago. It's no longer the passion. It's no longer the drive that I wanted. And I need to find a way to make this work. Woo! I saw a note on chat. Some people work 100 hours a week in the IT sector. Yeah, burnout, corporate refugees, the golden handcuffs, all these terms are many reasons why. The golden handcuffs, for those of you who don't know, or engineering refugees, the golden handcuffs is what happens when you are so secure in your job and scared to leave it because of the benefits and the pay and all the stuff. It's like a drug. You get used to the drug, and if they pull it away, or the fear of pulling it away gets you afraid, that's what keeps you there. Scary, huh? Next slide. All right. Great book by Robert Kiyosaki. In the left side of this image, these are the things that most W-2 employees are always keeping in mind: paycheck, retirement, healthcare. These are the reasons why I want to stay. But as a business owner, if you're to shift your mindset, you're going to think of these words: profit, investment, and ownership. When I talk about businesses or being a business owner and transforming from the W-2 mindset to the business owner mindset, a lot of the folks I guide today as a coach, I have to help break their thinking of when I go from, I'm going to say, sales in televisions to a business that sells televisions, they immediately think, how many TVs am I going to sell? And that is a mentality of what? They carry this worker mentality with them. And what happens is if you're carrying a worker mentality as a business owner, you're missing out on so much that you need to get smart on. You need to get smart on business development. You need to get smart on working on the business versus in the business. And I'll share with you right now one example of a business model that many of you may not actually believe. But if you've ever seen it, depending on what city you're in, because it's out there, it exists. There is a business model where people pay others to pick up dog poo, dog feces. It's real. There are businesses out there. I challenge you to go look them up. And when I talk to clients and say, hey, do you want to own this business? Imagine the immediate reaction they give me. Steve, I can never, ever pick up dog poo. Well, great. Are you thinking like an employee or are you thinking like a business owner? Because if I'm to coach you to be like a business owner, then as a business owner, you hire others to pick up that stuff. As a business owner, you find the customers who are willing to pay for that service. This is what it takes to be a business owner. You have to shift your mindset away from being an employee. Okay? So much to cover here. All right, let's go to the next slide. There are different business models, and this is where I start to wrap it up because I really want to give some time for questions. There are different business models out there to consider. I'll cover the startup model, I'll cover the existing businesses, and I'll cover franchise models. Real quick, I spend normally like an hour and a half just on these three topics, but for you guys, I only have about 3 minutes remaining. So let's go. Next slide. Monsieur, I'm still on the business model. There you go. So these three things: startup, existing, franchise. Startup, a quick definition. I don't need you to read the text. I just need you to hear my voice and look at the left picture. If you did it right, you had an income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity strategy built, and then you could figure out which of these three fits best for you, right? A startup model, you're going to create everything. An existing model, you're going to buy something that's already running. And then a franchise model is buy something that's already running and has proven that it can replicate and scale. All right, now I'll go into that a little bit deeper in the next slides. Next slide. Okay. When we're thinking startups, who comes to mind? These are people who are way ahead of the curve. They figured something out before everybody else did. I find it funny that if on Facebook or LinkedIn, I get a bunch of ads on my page about like the best businesses to own as a laundromat, a car wash, or a vending machine. By the time that Facebook and Instagram and all these social media pages have figured out that those are the top 3 business models to own, guess what has happened? It's already saturated with people. So you have to know where the next business is coming from. So if you have these inventor, maverick, visionary mindsets and you have the heart of an entrepreneur already, I recommend a startup model. Next slide, please. Some pros and cons to compare the two. When you are doing a startup, 100%, it's all on you. You are the visionary, you are the driver, right? The biggest con with it is it has the highest risk of failure. Startups have the highest risk of failure. That doesn't mean that I'm saying you shouldn't. Just remember that high risk typically means high reward, but it also means a high risk of failure. So failure is something not to be too scared about, but just be mindful about. Let's go to the next slide. I'm running low on time. Okay, buy an existing buy or acquire. Sometimes you don't have to buy. Sometimes you can't acquire. There are options out there. Buy or acquire an existing business model. Oh, sorry, go back one. An existing business model is somebody that owns a business and perhaps they're retiring. There are numerous studies out there that talk about the amount of baby boomers who are business owners that are retiring and are offloading their business, right? They're done. And there are some businesses out there that just couldn't get their business taken off. So they're doing a fire sale. They're getting rid of it for cheap. If you have the idea to make that business successful, or if you want to modernize a baby boomer's business, it might be right for you. And next slide. Franchising. I hear this all the time with my clients. I'm going to give you guys about 5-6 seconds or so to respond. When you hear franchising, what is the first or second business that comes to mind? Please type it in chat. It's one way I can verify you guys are still awake. Anybody in chat? When you hear franchising, what comes to mind? What's an organization, a business? Bam, McDonald's, 7-Eleven, good ones. M. Duncan, perfect. Domino's, perfect. Starbucks. Anybody see oh, there you go, Marriott. There you go. There's a pattern. Most people think franchises are food. Remember what I said earlier on that slide that says BLS, trampoline park? Perfect. Chick-fil-A, good. Food. Hertz, that's a car business. Perfect. When I said that there are numerous occupational groups out there, there are numerous business industries out there, right? If you think of it from an owner's perspective or a franchise perspective, there are equally the same amount, equally just as diverse. There are businesses that teach children's education. There's businesses that teach swimming lessons. There are businesses that groom pets. There are businesses that, fix hydraulic lines. There are businesses that fix electrical work, health and wellness franchises. So franchising and food is a misconception. Food is less than 2% of all franchises. There are over 4,000 franchises in North America, over 4,000 individual concepts. Within those concepts, there are tens of thousands of individual businesses. So franchising is something that maybe is a balance between starting your own business or as a startup or an existing business. It might be the middle point between the two as far as risk and reward. These are all options when it comes to business ownership. And that's what I wanted to elevate to you, the audience, and understand that there are more options out there for your next career than you may have been taught because of things like the game of life and how our parents said, hey, you can only be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer, right? So next slide. That's what we should have covered, right? We started with those traditional options, those very limiting options. And I hope that if you start off building a strategy covered and balanced with those 4 terms, income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity, you have a better idea of where you should go. And then expand your mind beyond the W-2 job that you're pursuing and you're loyal to. Maybe there's something within that career group or industry that is better fit for you. If you're pursuing one organization or one company to work for, you are limiting yourself. If those skills can translate to other companies, perhaps look at them, perhaps moving to a different state. These are options you can take for your next career. All right. Obviously, there's investing. There's different ways to learn investing. I didn't go into it, but again, I recommend everybody just be more aware, become more conscious of those other options. And then finally, where I ended up and focused a lot of my expertise was some highlights of business ownership, specifically talking about 3 different business models: startup, existing models, and franchising. And with that, I'm at time. Next slide, please. Leave it here, please, at this slide. If you have more specific questions beyond the questions that I give everyone time for here in the chat, please take a photo of this QR code and you're free to make contact and book a time with me. I try to help as many people out as I can. My business is actually geared towards education, awareness, and discovery. I literally coach for free, but most of the people I help in business and out of business, just talking on the street, I find out that they just didn't know that there were so many options available to them. And that's the value that I keep hearing consistently. Had they known that they could be something different, they would have pursued, or they may have pursued, a different path. Now, how to get to that path? Like anything else in life, if you're after a certain goal in fitness and you on your own can't reach that goal, I recommend getting a fitness coach. If you are trying to get a financial goal and you can't get that goal, I recommend getting a financial coach. So when it comes to, if you happen to have any, questions on how to take ownership of your career, we have things called career ownership coaches. All right. So yeah, as Laura said in chat, If you have any questions beyond the QR code, please put them out now. I think I have Laura, what is it? 3 or
yeah,
7 minutes
10
or so?
minutes.
How much time
10
do I have
minutes or so for Q&A. Yeah, any
Okay.
questions for Steve? Well done. Well done. Thank you so much. So I'm trying to see if they don't have any questions. I do have one. Like,
Please. Yeah. Are we allowed to have people go off mute or because some people might prefer speaking?
yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, they can unmute themselves. Any?
I saw a
So
couple
they have
questions
to
up there,
raise
but
their hand so we can, like, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
raise your hand,
I
please.
didn't see anybody yet.
I thought I saw a hand go up. It was kind of a really quick question. Where am I located? I think if that's what they said. I'm in Northern Virginia. Just throwing it out there. Learned about great income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. Good. I see a hand raised.
Okay, so let me.
Yeah, Steve, thank you. That was an excellent presentation. I was taking pictures, especially in your last 5 or 6 slides. I think when Laura introduced me, you may or may not have heard that I am a franchisee owner of a couple of places. I went into health and wellness because that's my expertise. I do that for my bread and butter, right? But in your consultation session, my question is, would you be able to guide, as in like discovery call, based on what our expertise are, or you will help us look beyond that?
So my coaching is beyond that. So just to be clear, I don't sell franchises. I don't represent franchises. I represent my clients and their ILWE strategies. If they've never built an ILWE strategy, I coach them to that, and then I help them find places to learn from, and then I introduce them to business models. If they so choose to pursue a business model, I do get compensated. So I let everybody know, hey, it's like a real estate broker showing you a house or a real estate agent showing you a house. If I show you a house and you end up buying it, I get a piece of that. Okay.
I see.
But you don't have to. All I'm saying is if you talk to me, I'm hopefully going to educate you and make you more aware of what's out there. With regard to my business, for this purpose, I'm just trying to educate people that there's simply so many more options out in the world that if you didn't know about it, you're sitting here thinking that one option I'm pursuing, that one job I'm applying for, and I keep getting denied, I'm going to feel like a failure. And I want to reinvigorate hope that may not be the case. It may be that you have self-limited your options and you really should expand other avenues of success. Great
Very
question.
well said. Thank you.
Where there's a question, it's like, where's the place to look up pay scale in terms of job title and zip code?
BLS.gov. Bravo, Lima, Sierra.gov. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I can't teach it off the little time we have. But if you go to there you go. Somebody typed it out, BLS.gov. There's you have to kind of find your way through it. It's a government website. That's all I could say. It's a government website. They're not all the friendliest, user friendly, but if you go in there, there's a way you could find your job, put in zip codes or locations, and then it'll put a map for some of the data it has. You could put like social worker, Dallas, Texas, and it'll say, boom, social worker of these types, Dallas, Texas, and these are the national averages. This is where your city is, and these are other averages that are higher or less than what you're getting paid. Great insight to make that income strategy, more clear for folks as they plan the next career.
As you can see, a lot of people are in the East Coast.
Yes.
Right. So how do you find these franchises, in the East Coast?
Great question. So again, there are over 4,000 franchises and there's multiple networks out there. Just like houses, think of houses. How do you find houses? Well, you go to websites that sell houses. There are websites that sell houses. Well, there's 20 million websites. Who do I talk to help me guide you through? There are people like me where we're called franchise coaches. There are people who are franchise consultants and there are people who are franchise brokers. All of us are in one way, shape, or form trying to help guide people to a solution. Again, I am not going to point to one because I don't think that's fair. That's not the purpose of what I'm doing. All I'm doing is educating people that, believe it or not, Google, ChatGPT, type in where can I find franchises? What are the best franchises for me? Obviously, if ChatGPT learns your profile, or whatever AI model you use, it might help you out. Yep, there goes a website right there. Somebody shared. That's one of them. I have to be very neutral. I can't say that I prefer you to pick me. That's not how it's going to happen. I'm here to educate.
What about the investment, range? Because there's some, franchise you have to have, large amount of investment. Correct. But there's some that maybe, you can start with little. Yes. Can you tell the range? You don't have to, share which franchise.
So here, this is super hard to say. I have known franchises that have as little as $5,000 to get in. There's another good website on chat, and as high as 3.5 million. Okay. And some of the 3.5 million is talking about one territory, one unit. You could buy multiple territories to buy that franchise. So that's a huge range. Here's what I'll tell my clients. All right. Don't expect to buy a $10,000 franchise and earn $200,000 in profit the first year. If somebody is selling you that kind of business, I highly recommend you look at the financials or have an opportunity to look at financials. Franchises actually have to disclose what's called an FDD, franchise disclosure document, and you can look at the last 5 years of financial data and performance of franchises, which is why I am specializing in it. I cannot do the same for independent business owners because the independent business owners aren't necessarily held to the same standard as franchise owners. Right. I don't know if that answered the question directly. I just have to have a response without giving too much. Again, I can't favor my team and my folks. I just said that they're out there.
Get it.
But Laura, to your point of franchising and investing, we had this conversation when we first met at the parking lot at that networking event. So this is the reason why I'm here, because Laura inspired me to share this news. Her statement, and just like I said in that board game of life, is that we have generations of Americans going into debt before starting their careers. What kind of debt do we go into? Anybody? I'm waiting for it on chat. It's that game of life. Student debt. Perfect. Thank you, Mohammed. Student debt. Yes. So wait a minute. You didn't have money, right? You didn't have money. So you borrowed money. And then you went to school, and then hopefully the idea was that piece of paper was going to get you more money. But is that the reality today? I don't know. I can't say for certain. I can tell you that the data is starting to say the other way, right? And what I mean by that is, if you're a parent and you have invested in your child's future, one way that you could possibly help, or a grandparent, one way you could possibly help their next career is to consider business ownership. It's one way. It might be right for them. I'll end with this statement. I'm a huge proponent. I hugely support people transitioning into business. But let me be very clear. Being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. And I don't mean that as an absolute statement. I mean that right now, some of you may think you're ready for entrepreneurship in 2026. And the reality is, based on your situation, based on where you're at in life, and based on what's available for you, all those things not fitting together, it's probably not. But perhaps 2027, perhaps 2028, perhaps 2032, you can get yourself positioned to one day become a business owner. So those are the things I want you to consider. Just because you can't do it today doesn't mean you can't position yourself to do that in the future. And that is what I mean by being a strategy expert. I want people to think future thought. Set yourself up by positioning yourself to be an owner. If you're young in your career and you don't know what it looks like 10 years from now, think of building a good ILWE strategy. If an ILWE strategy, income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity, says I earn enough money and save enough away to buy XYZ business so I can be my own boss in 10 years, I congratulate you, because that is how I believe most people should be thinking for their success. It tends to lead to happiness and a better flexible lifestyle for more people. Again, with that, I'll either answer the next question, or we can turn it over back to you, Laura, whichever you want to do.
Thank you, Steve. We're very grateful to have Clara and Steve today here with us. If you have any question, looking for a job, how to get a resume ready, and how to look for a job in this situation, in this environment, feel free to reach out to Claire. And if you're thinking that you're ready to do something different and Steve will be able to help you to see if there's a different, path for you guys. So now we turn it into our closing remarks. And I want to introduce our friend Stephanie Shea, Vice President at M&T Bank and Secretary of Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club, to deliver this closing remarks.
Thank you, Laura. I'm Stephanie Shea, a Vice President at M&T Bank. My job is to help business owners manage cash flow, grow their businesses, and achieve both their business and personal goals. I also serve as the first Vice President of the Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club. Thank you all for being part of Own Your Future Career Strategy Beyond the Job Search. It's been wonderful to see such an engaged and motivated community here today. On behalf of the Greater Washington AAPI Lions Club, the President Ellen Tan and I would like to extend our sincere thanks to our presenters, Claire Patrick and Stephen de Guzman, for sharing their insights and practical guidance on building long-term career success. Your perspectives have truly added value for everyone in the room today. We're also grateful to the Virginia Asian Advisory Board for their support in making this event possible. And lastly, I want to thank my friend Laura Belden, who connected the dots and made all the efforts to put this event together. As you move forward, we encourage you to take what you have learned today and applied it with confidence. You can make it. Thank you again for your time and participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. I'm closing it now.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.